Hey everyone, welcome to our On the Block series. This time we have wonderful guests, Ewelina Becker and Michał Bugajło from IP Protector, our dear customer. Welcome, dear guests.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And today we'd like to talk about the solution that we have built together. And I would love to start, and this is a challenge for you, if you can try to, let's say, use 2-3 sentences to describe the product, the solution that you have built.
First of all, thank you for this opportunity to talk with you. Yes, we built IP registry based on Hyperledger blockchain technology because we saw a structural gap in how companies sharing IP assets. Organizations still use traditional tools like ordinary emails, shared drives, and standalone NDAs. In our opinion, market deserves much better tools based on blockchain, which provide such unique features like traceability, controlled access, and anti-tampering. Thanks to these features, IP sharing is much more secure. We can build trusted environments and we can enhance cooperation between our company, our subcontractors, and other cooperators. Well, broadly speaking, these factors was a base of our decision why we decided to build our product.
So that's the why, right? So there was an issue on the market as traditionally sharing IP rights between companies like B2B sector. That was an issue. It was not secure enough, right? And like, if you were about to describe the weakest point of the system, so what tends to break in that sort of traditional setup?
Yes, well, in our opinion, many negative things may happen, yes. First of all, firms have a problem with IP management and IP control. Traditional tools don't answer key questions. Who is author of the IP assets? Who had access? When this access was granted? And under which conditions? Yes. Generally speaking, traditional tools don't respond to the requirements of modern economy. And we decided to offer a tool with implemented smart contracts, yes, which will fill this gap.
So do I understand it correctly? There are at least 2 layers here. So the first one is more like administration processes, access rights, and so on. And the other is the actual technology underneath.
Yes, exactly. You're right, yes. Generally, issuing our product, we wanted to combine legal rules with reality of business operations with enforceability. Yes.
And regarding the layers, I will add few additional crucial points because from the high level perspective, the system separates 3 different layers. So we are talking about the identity, the files, so the content itself, and about the proof. And when it comes to the identity, from the very beginning, we verify who is acting in the system, who is the given user, and we are also trying to apply the proper level of entitlements. And regarding the next layer, so the files are like the actual IP, like any documents or the source code and this kind of data are being stored securely in the encrypted storage using the external off-chain storage. And intentionally, we avoid placing any sensitive materials directly on the blockchain to not violate any applicable rules or law. And when it comes to the proof itself, this is the most important thing, of course, because on-chain we store only the file hashes and metadata information about ownership and timestamps. So this is how it works in practice, and these are the layers of the architecture. Yeah, so this is the situation.
Yeah, I got it. So this is the design of the system. It makes a lot of sense. And why did you actually choose to build your system? Let's say that it's an on-chain proof and off-chain files. What was the reason behind it?
So this is also a good question, because in general, blockchain by nature is designed to provide us with immutable proof. And it is not designed to be the system storage or the file storage, right? And in general, as we mentioned, we operate in the enterprise environments and ecosystems. So these kind of ecosystems require the high-level performance, scalability, and also confidentiality and compliance. And data storage cannot be stored only on chain, because it would be extremely risky. It would be also inefficient, and sometimes even it would be completely impossible due to applicable law and regulations. So this is why we have to distinguish this off-chain versus on-chain storage. And on-chain we are entitled to store only the very crucial information, like the proof. Like the proof regarding the policy logic and ownership details and timestamps, as mentioned earlier. And also, just to mention, we use the blockchain as the trust layer. It cannot be used like the storage layer. So this is the crucial point here.
Got it. And you also mentioned identity management as a third layer of the system design. And I'm curious, like, how do you see identity management in general in systems like that?
This is also a very crucial question, because identity is fundamental in our systems. So in general, IP protection in general begins from knowing who is acting in the system and what is the role of the given user. And the fundamental thing to start from the very beginning, we are trying to determine what is the role, and we provide the proper level of entitlements to the given user. And we start in general from strong authentication, meaning that we integrate our solution with clients, service provider solution, identity provider. And next, what matters here is kind of the combination of organizational content with the role-based access control, meaning that the given user is only entitled and his role is based on this airbag control. So also all the actions being handled by the user are attributable to the given organization, and each given action, each given decision and approval being granted in the system is recorded in the audit trail.
Let's talk about smart contracts then for a second. Like, please tell me, what's the purpose of smart contracts in system like that?
Well, in our opinion, smart contracts are the system's enforceable engine. Thanks to this engine, yes, we can provide executable logic. We can provide execution of rules of law, yes, which traditionally are implemented in, for example, legal agreements, yes, and memorandums. This kind of solution provides enforceability and automation. For example, permissions could be revoked after such a period of time. Yes, this is very useful feature.
Yeah, but like, you had different choices at this point. Why have you decided to go with smart contracts?
Such features like activate access after consent, enforce multi-party flows, revoke access when conditions expire. Yes, these factors decided that we choose smart contracts as our preferred solution.
Maybe also good to mention that smart contracts were designed to be fully automated, and in the environments where the parties cannot truly or fully trust each other, it is very crucial thing to be implemented in the system, because it lets also the users to trust each other even without knowing each other, and all the rules and logic might be fully automatic, without human intervention. So it is also crucial.
Yes, logic cannot be secretly altered by no one. Yes, this is very important.
Okay, so that sort of trustless layer of smart contracts was the key here.
Yeah, sure.
Got it. And let's talk about Hyperledger Fabric for a second. Of course, our favorite technology. I'm curious, how did it happen? Like, why did you actually decide on going with Hyperledger?
Yeah, so this is also a good question, because why we chose the Hyperledger Fabric blockchain. First of all, because this is permissioned private blockchain, and because it was built specifically for enterprise ecosystems, and this ecosystem is also very modular, so it provides users, when required, with additional options and combinations. It might be crucial at the later stages of the project, for example. And also, using Hyperledger Fabric lets all involved parties in the project to cooperate smoothly and securely, even without knowing and trusting each other. This is also very crucial point. Also, Hyperledger Fabric offers additional features which cannot be satisfied by public blockchain, like the private channels between participants, like the very granular control, like also the governance and policy management, identity management. So all these features combined give us the proper level of security, and also without sacrificing confidentiality.
Let's zoom out for a second, and I would like to understand the business side of the product. Looking at your clients, what's the most important thing? What is the core thing that your clients require you to provide by the service solution like IP registry?
Basing our experience, yes, clients generally expect the following non-negotiables. First, proof of ownership with timestamp. Second, controlled role-based access. Third, recorded consent and license acceptance is also very important. Also, for our clients, it's very important immutable audit trail. What else? In my opinion, data sovereignty and encryption is also non-negotiable. Generally require these 5 elements.
And in general, as mentioned earlier, each given party operating in the digital world and is kind of a contributor in the production of enormous volume of data, and data are being digitalized. Companies exchange the data in the digital way, so they have to protect all this very sensitive stuff against any kind of breaches. So where the system can be embedded with these kind of solutions and automated options, it might only help the companies to protect their valuable assets. So this is why this system was very crucial, and there was very positive feedback from the market.
That's actually also very interesting. Like from our perspective, I see the growing interest in Hyperledger Fabric and in general permissioned blockchain, specifically in the auditing space. So customers actually build data management platforms in that sort of ecosystem because they want audits to be super easy and also trustless as they share data with auditors. And regarding the feedback from the market, I'm really curious in that. So like, what's the first feedback? What's the initial comments that you get from your customers?
Well, initial feedback was very positive, yes, especially firms post-scaling and firms, of course, knowledge-driven, yes, were very interested in our solution. Regarding to feedback, yes, we were very surprised because at the beginning we thought that our solution will be based on the IP protection. But firms also treat our solution as IP readiness tool. Yes, useful during the M&A processes and fundraising processes. Yes. It was very interesting for us.
Okay, got it. And is there anything that your customers already request from you for the future backlog of the product?
In general, also as per our discussion with the market participants, we also spotted that the participants and companies, especially the smaller ones, but also the bigger ones, also were asking around the future features to be embedded in the system, maybe in the future around the AI. So they were asking if there will be any AI tools also embedded in the system, like for the automatic reporting or something like that, and additional tools to be implemented. But there were a lot of discussions regarding also this, and also around the audit itself. So as mentioned earlier, the tool is perfectly suited when it comes to the audit. So it might be used also for this purpose.
But AI mainly in the data management.
Yes, also for the data
Yes,
management.
well, nowadays very hot topic is AI input auditability, AI input integrity. Yes, and we think that our solution will be very useful also in this field. Yes. I put AI input integrity management.
Yes, and maybe also good to mention that in general, the tool itself is very broad, because we just, our initial idea was around the protection of intellectual property rights, right? But in general, this is not limited to the IP protection. It might be also limited to, it might be also extended to other areas for all parties which are interested in protecting their very crucial information or sensitive details, or for the parties which are interested just in the sensitive and secure sharing of data, between the companies, especially in the less known, let's say, environment.
Yes, it's worth mentioning that IP is a very broad concept. Yes, know-how is an IP. Yes, all intangible assets, data, business sensitive information, and so on. Yes.
I'm interested in that. What's your message to the world? Like, in your opinion, what needs to change in the world of sharing IP?
First of all, the mindset. Yes, I think that companies should know that they can, based on very reliable, accountable tools like IP Protector platform. Yes, don't have to use traditional tools all the time, just emails, shared drives, and so on. They should change the mindset, yes, and move to much modern technology, blockchain technology.
Okay, and why should they use on-chain IP registry?
Thanks to this, they can use such availabilities like enforceability, traceability, auditability of assets, proper IP management. Yes.
And also good to mention that our solution is very mature, because the technology behind it is very mature. And the combination of blockchain technology, the permissioned blockchain with the off-chain storage, is giving all the potential customers better solution that we have actually on the market, like the shared drives as mentioned. All these solutions which we currently using on the market are not that safe. So the clients should decide if they want to protect their the most important and intangible assets in the best way they can. So they have to choose and decide between any data breaches and between securing their intangible assets in the proper way.
Yes, and thanks to our tool, firms can act proactive, not reactive. Yes, they can track flow of IP assets during operation. Not after all when court dispute arises. Yes, this is a crucial factor in our opinion.
Has your view on this changed anyhow during the process of development of this product?
In general, I think that our view was kind of clear from the very beginning, because from the very beginning, from even the concept of the project, when we started talking about the concept and the project before it was even moved to the production, our vision was clear, and it didn't change much. Of course, there were some negotiables in this road, but in general, it didn't change much, because the crucial idea was behind the IP protection, and it was just achieved. So the vision is, of course, as we mentioned, is broader than just IP protection, but the idea didn't change from the beginning.
And for the part of the market interested in this solution, how can people actually learn more about you and maybe reach out, start a conversation without sharing sensitive data?
Well, I think that the best place to start is our website, ip-protector.eu. You can explore, there are many useful content. Probably we address architecture of our platform, security model, and you can also explore business use cases. Yes, so strongly invite to visit our website.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for today's talk. It was a pleasure. I'm super happy that we at Espeo Software are also a part of this journey. It was really interesting to listen to your vision, model of operating, and the product itself.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you. Ewelina Becker, Michał Bugajło, IP Protector. Thank you, guys.